Hello and welcome to Lands Unknown. My name is Will, and today we are going to finish off Zaalea. We're going to work on the A climates today, and like I said, I made a little chart so that we can see where something is going to fall based on the amount of precipitation it's going to get. So that's going to be a pretty good time. Hey, Jan. Also, over on the Patreon, we dropped the update, and there's also the guild's choice poll for the fourth episode of the year, so that'll be good. Hello, Kate, Sun and the Dragon. Yes. Hello, Writer 2. Hello, Supernatural Ecology. And earlier in the week, Madeline had me on for an interview where I interviewed her about Istri, which is the setting for her debut fantasy novel, Because the Beast Came. And that was a fun time. So if you haven't checked that out, you can jump over to Madeline's channel and give that a look. Otherwise, I think we're ready to crack in. Boom. Okay. Let's make sure all my stuff is organized. So, when we're looking at A climates, first you would always want to determine whether or not it is a B climate, and for that there are a couple charts that we can use. This is the one where a majority of the precipitation happens in the 6 months of the year that receive the most insolation. So that would be this summer. So and there are three. One of them is when a majority of the precipitation occurs in the 6 months of the year that receive the least insolation. So that would be the winter. So that's where we get the CS and the AS and the DS climates. And then you have one where a majority doesn't happen in the summer or the winter, right? So first you want to determine if it is an A climate, and that is what we've been spending the last two live streams doing, making this very lovely desert that we have now in that basin. And if you determine that your A climate is not going to be arid or semi-arid, then we can move over to here. And for plotting these, we can see that the main distinguishing factor between whether a climate is AF or AM or AW or AS is going to be that 60 millimeters in the driest month. So if you have if you have a place in the tropics that received 61 millimeters of precipitation every single month of the year, then you get an AF climate, even though you're only getting 1,212 millimeters of precipitation. I believe so. And then the difference comes as to whether it's AW or whether it's AM, is that less than 60 millimeters. Now, there is and I'm just going to say AW instead of AWAS, and that's for two reasons. One reason is that we're not going to see any AW in Zaalea. AS. We're not going to see any AS in Zaalea, or Trans-Metrine Zaalea, so it's not something we really have to worry about. And the second part is that oftentimes the distinction can be considered a little trivial because it usually happens in the tropics where there's very little difference in insolation and temperature. The reason why it's a bit more significant I guess technically down here would be AS. The reason why it's a little bit more significant on Dove, and in Arukia in particular, is because the months when you're going to have the most precipitation are also going to be cooler. So if most of your precipitation is going to be happening in the months that receive less insolation, then you have, this double kind of cooling effect. One from the less insolation, which means that your temperature is going to be cooler on average, and then it's going to be further cooler because rain clouds, they scatter light, they make things more moist, and they cool things down. And that is interesting for the way that I've developed the ecology and the ecoregions and things on Arukia, but it's not going to be particularly relevant for Zaalea. We can see that there's an AS region here, and that's going to probably expand into the AW region. Well, not expand, but it's going to connect to the AW region of Zaalea. Anyway, so the main distinction is whether or not the AW or AM is different from the 60 is based on how much precipitation is received and whether or not the AM climate hits above a certain threshold. And that threshold sorry, one sec. My mic was having a little issues. So that threshold is, and I wanted to check to make sure I got the thing correct. Let's make sure I'm using a good brush for this. I was painting before. All right. So for an AM climate, 100 minus the total annual precipitation in millimeters over 25. And if your precipitation in the driest month is greater than this number, it is going to be AM. If it is less than that number, it is going to be AW or AS. And so what we are going to do is, as we said before, places along the coast are going to be usually receiving 750 millimeters. Certain places, like near here, for example, are going to receive more, and that is because the mountains are there. Areas over here will probably receive more precipitation as well. I think I'm probably going to pinch this off, so it's not going to extend too far north. I was thinking about it, but I think we'll probably pinch that off. And then what we're going to do is, based on the annual rainfall, we are going to look at our, where is it? Here we go. We're going to look at what it's like in the summer, and we're going to look at winter. We're going to cross-reference the precipitation and the pressure, and work out our AM and AW. Down here probably won't be AF, so we're going to deal with that, though we may have it in this region over here, but not going all the way up. Yeah, so maybe that's where I'll start, just fixing up Arukia down here. Oh, and we have a lovely weather out here on the West Coast today. I hope everyone else is enjoying their Sunday. All right, yeah, let's fix that. And it's all going to be on top of that. So we can go to a W. There we go. Okay. And then we're probably going to break out the CFB or CWB. We will see. Yeah, probably the CW. I mean, there's going to be a transition, but we'll figure out where that transition is a bit later, I guess. Yay, okay. And let's just work this down. And let's just work this down. And there are going to be some easy things that we can work out for the A climates right off the bat. I probably need to make... All right, we're going to make an AM layer. And we're going to make an AF layer. So one thing is that anything on the opposite side of this line that's going a little perpendicular here, not perpendicular, what, diagonally, across the landscape. That line there is going to be a W. We can be fairly certain of that. And this is because while it does get summer precipitation, does not get winter precipitation. So for sure, everything on that side is going to be AW. And then we have the continuation of the winds there. So first off, we are going to make sure that we get the AF in that area over there. And then I'll probably erase the AW up here too. Do I need to erase it? No, I do not. I'm just going to CFA over it. And what's my eraser? It should also be the inking brush. Great. Let's just fill all that in. Okay, and then there we go. I'm going to figure out the exact boundary later. All right, now let's get to our AF. So the region in here is going to be receiving over 2,000 millimeters in a year. What do we got? On your planet, tropics only extending about 16 degrees from the equator. Each individual atmosphere layers of the planet. Wow, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know how I'd world build the layers of the atmosphere. Sounds like a good time. Are things particularly high, or are you going to have stuff floating around in the different layers, like aeroplankton or whatever? I mean, how far have we got tropics here? 0, 15, 30, I don't know, 20 something. All right, so we are gonna add in here. Though we may do this one more like we may do this, what is it? Like it's a part of Brazil. Let's go. Okay. Oh, the gravity is lower. Yeah, usually 25. Doop. Yeah, so it's probably going to look something like that, and we're going to have some AM kind of sticking out. And we may want to flex some AM up the coast as well. Okay. So I may, depending on how tall this is. Yeah, the green one isn't too tall. Maybe. Which way's the wind coming from? I'm thinking of putting some AM in the middle of there a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah, I'll probably put some AM just in this region here where we see a bit of an overlap. And let me double check. You know what? Even if it's getting precipitation this way, still in the winter, it's going to be a bit. Yeah, there's going to be less precipitation in some parts of this place in the summer. And then because as the precipitation goes over, it is going to rise again. So we will switch it to AF going back up on the other side. I'll probably make this CFA area a bit nicer in a sec. Oh, you've got continental. By continental, do you mean like microthermal, like D climates? If so, that's not very far, but I believe your planet has a different, what was it? Obliquity? All right, now let's go to AM. Let's grab this and populate that in there. Nice. Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay. I do want to fix up this CFA before we go forward because it can look a bit more like what we've been working on over there. Where's that CFB? CFB. Okay. Yeah, high tilt. Okay. Yes, and D. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I don't know why that's there. I'll figure that out in a sec. I think it was just my mistake. Yeah, that's fine. All right. I'm going to turn up the opacity. Did I do it to the whole thing? No, I did not. Okay. And it goes all the way down here. Yeah, and I want to keep it going a little bit further north too. Okay, now we're going to throw the AF back on and the AM as well. And we can do a little bit of... do a little bit of pruning in there. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah. Excellent. All right, and I also want to fix that AF right here. Cool. And then the other question about this, is it going to be on the other side? So let's throw that back on quick. And, I was saying, like, well, what's going on? Oh, oops. And I was thinking like 225, 2,250 millimeters. And that would put us, and it's above 60 because it's going to be receiving precipitation. And there's the mountains providing that orthographic lift. So it is safely going to be in here. As it falls off, it's going to be going to that 1,750 number, which is going to bring it into here. So we will have a decent amount of AM around it. And over here in this middle region, we are down there, and we're going to be pretty solidly, as we can see, AWAS. And that's especially because that's where this shifts away. But as we get closer, we're essentially going to be working like that. So between about 2,000 or so and 1,300, we can have AM in there. However, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be something more like, I don't know, that, I suppose. So, yeah, I don't know, 1,200. Is that what I want to? Anyway, it'll probably get closer to, yeah, 1,500. I just want to, it took me a sec to get the line right to communicate what I was interested in. So we will, what was the number here? 0.07 drop off. Let's figure out where that's going to be for how far inland we need to get. And what do we got here? Oh, your troposphere stops higher because of low gravity. Well, you also got to worry about all your atmosphere floating away then. Or a leaf. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's quite cold. Okay. All right, I figured it out. Great. All right, so about 300 kilometers in, we are going to see the transition from AM to AW, just working from here. So about 300 on average. So if we take, let's take our line here. Let's make it more or less straight. And then we can I don't know what that number is. Let me grab my calculator 1 sec. 152. Boom. All right, now we have a little measure stick here. So that is going to be kind of the greater extent of the AM along the coast here. And we're going to keep it more or less locked within the areas that have precipitation all year round, and we want it to stay closer to areas A, near the coast, and B, areas that have low pressure. So we are going to fill in our area of AM. And this will be, where were we looking before? You know, somewhat comparable to how much AM is around here. Yeah. So I'll bring up my Google. I'll go grab my computer at some point to double check some of the distances. My other computer. Can that go away? Oh my goodness. Go away. Thank you. I don't know. I may have this merge here. I do think it'll be interesting to have a corridor of a maybe W going through back here. That'll be nice to kind of break it up a bit. I'll probably lower it around here. Yes, 1400 millimeters down here. Aha. Okay then. So that's going to peter out. I may still want some right up against here. Let's do it till there. I am excited. I think this is going to look pretty cool. And I may just splotch it a little bit when I get closer. And I'll go in. Yeah, I said I need to clean this up anyway last time, I believe. Okay. And then I did want to check. No, that's fine. I'm fine with that. All right. Go away. Go. Okay. I'm still learning how this works, clearly. Hello, not Dane Hart. Oh, that's okay. Hello, hello. Busy plotting your own e-climates. Oh, hope that's going well. I always enjoy doing the e-climates, I think. It's usually very chill. Well, nope. Okay, so very roughly they're going to be in here. And yeah, I'll probably make them follow in here a little bit better. And they're going to be pulled in under here more. I mean, may not see any over here at all, to be. Because there's nothing to pull up the precipitation. Again, I'll fix this before we. I will, yeah, we'll fix that today. So, just so that we can get some interesting shapes and structures and things in there. Oh, right. And we're also going to look over here. I don't believe I ever stated how much precipitation that we're going to be getting over here. But let's look here. So I think for some reason it just decided it wasn't going to be there. So it is going to receive a decent amount of precipitation on the eastern side in the summer, northern hemisphere summer, and in the winter going to be receiving precipitation again easterly, but this time northeasterly. So a bunch of it is, I mean, you're going to have some orthographic stuff going on, but it's going to be pretty AW on the eastern side. Let's look. Let's go to the AF. Pretty confident we'd have AF in here. Gonna take the AF up here. And we can just have those connect. I mean, it's just going to be receiving precipitation quite consistently. I mean, it is in more of a whatchamacallit zone, more of in a high pressure zone. So let's trim that down. I'm gonna drop AM in here. Let me go back to here so I can see my. All right. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty arid. I will about halfway, I suppose. Let's look at the. Yeah, I think I'll do it about halfway, and AF about halfway up, and I'll double check what it looks like on the other. Let's just double check the heights again of this. Yeah, no, that's very tall. I'm not going to do that. It's just very warm. What are we on right now? AM? Let's do that then. Just want to get the curl right here. And it is CFA. It's good. We'll probably bring this up a little bit. We'll probably bring the AF into it a little bit as well. Okay. I don't know if we have any other places where I'll just see if there's anywhere where there'd be a decent amount of precipitation that wouldn't be AW or what have you. And in particular, I'm looking for places that are going to be hit by... We can look for places that'll be hit by winter wind. So yeah, in here, let's turn that on. A little bit there. Clean that up after. I could do a little bit. Oh God, what am I doing? I don't know why it went to BWK. Okay. All right, and then it was down here. Yeah, I think that's gonna about cover it. So now, all's to do is to refine those boundaries. I'm gonna start in here, and I'm probably gonna scatter some AF further down here as well. I think it could be good to have some near the coast because that's around where the 750 is. All right, so now we can go to CFB. Get rid of some of this precipitation stuff that's up. Lower the sizes here. And let's get into it. What's under there? Ah, I see. Let's open that up. Let's turn these off. That'll make it easier. That'll probably make it easier. All right. The yellow in here is for sure, so I'll just color that in. Um, that's looking pretty good. But I do want to expand it out here. So because where it hits here is that higher this one. So I'll probably I do like how this looks, so I'm just gonna grab it and move it. There we go. Great. Thank you, Paint Bucket Tool. All right. And what we're doing here is just, valleys, uh, peaks, ridges, that sort of thing. Hello, Ziku Beast. You've been watching the streams for a while. It's the first time you catch one live. Well, I'm glad you were able to catch one live. I hope you've been enjoying the streams. Oh, they're very thank you. Yeah, I hope you're able to use them for your own project. In here, there's some directionality going on. Okay. What time is it? Oh, right. We've already been for an hour. That's good. I think that bends in a bit. That looks pretty great. Hmm. So let's just peel these back. Oh, there's a little depression in there. Well, may have been a mistake, but you know what? Happy accident. Yeah, another depression in there too. Probably a happy accident. And then I want to get it in there. And move it around there. Hmm. All right, and then how far out? That's pretty far out. Oh, it's just a slow change. And as we work around, giving some yeah, let's move this a bit more. Yeah, the yellow in there is, yeah, we can't do all that much about that. That's just going to be this color. It's going to be CFA just because of how high it is. And let's go around that one a little bit. And working our way up here. Let's add some more. I find the best way to do this is just kind of going back and forth, just kind of building out layers of complexity as you go. And I think of it as kind of like sculpting the landscape with the climate. Okay. Yeah, that still needs. All right. Then once we're done this one, we will work on the AM around it, because then we'll have been more or less. Let's do that as a separate thing. And then when we work with Bubleridian for the next month or so, we will have a decent map to work with. I do have a conference in the first weekend of June. I think that's the same conference as the same weekend as the SpecCon, which is kind of like an in-person version of the World Building Festival. I have a different conference, so I will not be there. Also, it's in the UK, so that's a bit out of the way for me. Hey, Jake. Oh, it's in Ireland. It's not in the UK. It's in Ireland. It's in the Republic of Ireland. My mistake. Yeah, I haven't been keeping track as to where it is because not going to be attending. I get to go talk about geography for an academic conference instead. Yeah, I mean, you know, British and Irish Isles, Irish and British Isles. However, we want to. Yeah, Jake, how's Turkey? Oh, that looks fun. Okay. So let's just... Went a few times when you're old enough to appreciate the culture, and coming back's been good. Well, that's nice. Yeah, it has a lot of pretty architecture, and are you? I mean, you have to say, oh, Istanbul. Yeah, yeah. Istanbul has a lot of layers to it. And Turkish breakfast is always good. I mean, everyone around there has their own version of uh, eggs in tomato sauce, but banana is tasty. I can get a little spindlier. Volcanic. Doesn't appreciate Arabic calligraphy as much as me, but the architecture is great. Yeah, like, Persian Arabic in Arabic calligraphy is quite beautiful. They aren't making it anymore. Sujuk. There we go. Eggs and sujuk. Sujuk is amazing. How are we looking? Oh, okay. Just this little area here then. That looks pretty nifty. Okay, let's turn this stuff on. Nice. Okay. Ah, shoot. I should erase those. Forgot what layer I was on for a sec. Ooh, Islamic Art Museum. Oh, he was expecting paintings. Well, there are a lot of Islamic paintings. Oh, that's cool. You went in with different expectations. Yeah, I think that's what's fun about going to other places, though. Oh, and just I believe those are just parts of the Quran, like what is it? Like calligraphy parts of the Quran that are laid out. I haven't done my medieval studies. That part of my medieval studies for a while. There we go. That's nice. Okay, then we're gonna go in and make sure that we get all along there. And then we are going to clean up this boundary here. What layer are we on? AF, great. That should be AF too. Oh. Oh, may have been that darker color. All right, and we're going to just get some AF on this side as well. In places that are thicker, we're not gonna do as much. There we go. Maybe we will do some AM in here. Because if it's passing through this way, then yeah, they're one of 30 sections of the Quran. Okay, cool. All right, so we got that in there. And they're coming from this direction. Where's my... angles here? I just want to double check this. Yeah, okay, good. Working on the right layer. Get our AM. All right, let's go back to AF and drop some of these so we can see what's happening. So that we can see what's happening. AM, okay. So we want AM to be in here around these when they're higher up. And also want to make sure that our AF covers all the areas we'd like. What is going on? All right. No. Okay. What layer? Ah. Great. Okay, so now we are going to look at our wins again, just so that I can decide how much I want the where I want the AM to be. And then that, I don't know where this is. What layer is this on? Okay, let's get out of that. That's not very helpful. Let's get this down the coast here. I think that tropical region's looking pretty good. All right, and now winds. Okay. So it's maybe a W if it's not for these. Okay. So, yeah, we are going to erase our AM down here. Then we're going to have it over here, and we're probably going to get rid of it over there. Okay, and we're going to probably pull it in. All right, and let's keep pulling it back in here. then pull back around here too. Okay, so now let's. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't know how much detail. What time is it? Ah, it's almost noon. Well, it's good that your project has so much of it then. At least the places that you're interested in. Ah, great. Okay, so that's a little. Yeah, that works a little bit better for me. All right, and then I'm gonna check the winds because I'm probably gonna peel it back and then have it come out a bit more. So let's see. Up this way. Okay, so DFA. Where is that fleck of color? Aha. Oh, I accidentally put some there. That's convenient. All right. All right, and then we are... All right, so that seems pretty good. Let's... That would continue a little bit this way, and then, yeah. The southern regions were never actually meant to be the focus. It's just what happened to put islands there at the very start. We asked Bib about the birds we needed an island for them. Aw. Well, I think the Mihirungs are going to be very fun. Okay, so that coast is more or less done. What are we going to do? I'm going to take a quick break, and then I am going to finalize this area here, that bit there, and I guess we'll work on here a bit. I do want to clean up these areas. Yeah, so we'll probably do that for about another hour or so, I suppose. But I am very happy with how this turned out and just the general amount of AF and AM. I think that's looking pretty good. I don't know. I may throw some in. Nah, I don't really think that's, because they're not going to really be getting, yeah, because it transitions to CF there, and that's, I could do a little bit along the CF, I suppose. But I will do that when I get back. It's now time for our sponsor, the green dragon whose golden tail is the sun. While everyone venerates the golden tail green dragon, I will head on my break. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sun. Boom. And just a reminder to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We also have the Patreon and the Ko-fi where I update, all the streams that are going to be happening. Uh, if you follow for free, you can see all of that. There's also the monthly updates for members of Patreon. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we currently have the Guild's Choice for the Traveler and Explorer tier members. So we'll see how that turns out for the, was it fourth video? All right, and as I said, we are going to jump down here and clean some stuff up. All right, we got AM and we got CFB. I'm going to clean up the CFB first. Yeah, because look at all the interesting stuff going on here. Yes, Mr. Sun. And it is very sunny today, so at least for me. So that is also a plus. After months of rain, it is now 18 degrees Celsius and sunny outside. I mean, it's probably higher in the sun. And then the other thing about, this kind of southern bit of BC is that we also have a lot of cherry trees. Well, yeah. Settlers have planted a lot of cherry trees, so we have lots of cherry blossoms. So we didn't get snow this year, but we do blanket the street in pink and white petals, which has a charm to it. In Vancouver, they've got a cherry blossom festival, which is fun. Oh, well, yeah, of course it's going to be sunnier in Turkey. I mean, you've got a CS climate. And this is prime sunny time weather for CS climates. Though I did take a trip to the local reservoir yesterday, and it's lower than one would like for the beginning of spring. Which is also a problem for for S climates. Recently, we've been having a couple issues. One of them is that the snow melt is like the temperatures have been rising very quickly in the spring, which is causing rapid snow melt, which is not ideal. Because, you know, you're hoping that your snow melt, you know, fills the rivers and does irrigation and things like that throughout the spring and summer. Usually by the end of summer, you know, the rivers are run a little dry. But what we're seeing is rapid warming in the spring, and that's causing a lot more snow melt than we would like. And it also causes flooding and mudslides and fun stuff like that. Well, you know, remarkably less fun for the people who actually have to live through it. That was the sarcasm. Someone's going to come watch my stream for the first time and be like, he thinks it's fun when it floods. And, you know, that sort of stuff, you know, with this sort of surface hydrology and the interaction between precipitation and temperature and things like that was something I incorporated into the speculative biogeography to kind of talk about, you know, how life moves through the environment. And it's particularly important for the AS regions in Arauca. So those savannas do really rely on the snowmelt and precipitation from the Aravallian Highlands and the snow that accumulates there. I mean, I spent more time talking about that in the AAS video, but I think because for one of them for one of the biogeography videos I have planned, I'm going to be, for this year, I'm going to be doing the Aravallian Highlands. So I'll definitely talk about fires as well. I did want to talk about fires in the last one, but didn't necessarily. I mean, the video is already like half an hour long. You gotta choose at some point. All right, let's turn that off and see what's what. Oh, lovely. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, now we're going to grab our AM. And we're going to fill in a bunch of these areas here. Let's have some on the other side as well. And then let's throw up our thing here, and let's just kind of keep it. Keep it in there. Never say no to a longer video. I know, it just takes a bit more time. And there are certain things I would like to get to talking about on the channel that require people to be there. And if I spend more time on the biogeography videos, then at least these, I mean, I plan on doing more of the ecoregion stuff, but I do want to introduce people first. So once we get the Dovians there, I'll probably do another. I'll probably do another one of the biogeography ones. There was one that was suggested for the and shortlisted for the Guild's Choice poll that I was actually really excited about. So even if it doesn't get chosen, I'll probably do it at some point. I mean, all the ones that were shortlisted were actually really interesting. And since I think like most of them were all chosen by all of the patrons at that level, so I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed. Yeah, and what I'm doing now is just like, I don't know, that kind of thing, right? Just some little monsoon areas that pop up because of the way that the winds move and hit at elevation. And, you know, sometimes that stuff can happen a surprising distance away. Especially if it's moving over relatively low land. How much more are we doing to that? Yeah, just to there. All right, cool. Yeah, I think once I get to the Devians, I will maybe, I don't know if I'll slow down, but maybe take some time to develop some other things. Yeah, that's too linear here. Let's. I mean, this, I am going through the process of um, rendering this in a bit more detail. And, I am trying to make it look like canyons and valleys and that sort of thing. But I guess this part's also aesthetic. Like, you could just do blobs and say, fine. Yeah, that's better. This needs to be broken up. Oh, yeah. But what was I saying about conference? Yes, I have a conference. So on, I think the first week of June, there'll probably be a pre-recorded live. And if Bib's still with us, then that'll just kind of break up. Yeah, they'll just break it up a little bit. Otherwise, then we'll be moving on to probably Zaalea. What's going on here? I think that was a mistake. There we go. That's nice. And at a later point, I'll probably go in and clean up the whole thing there. It's not really necessary at this point, though. All right, so moving from here to there. And right, so this would be CW. Is it CW or is it C? Is it CW or is it? Yeah, CW, CWB. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to go to AM. And just kind of shave off stuff at the end here. As we're working through. Yeah, and that blends in. Great. And let's go back to here. And clean that up a bit. Okay. What is our priority here? And just for fun, what's this look like? Yeah, the transition between these two can be quite small. That's okay. I'm going to do this quick and then finish this and that if I have time. All right, so we've got CFA, CFB. We got CFB. And the CFB is more or less, yeah, it's on the it's on the 1,000 meter. It's on the 1,000 meter mark. So let's get in there. And these A's are making it a little difficult to see what's going on. Let's just work on doing the outside, and then I can just fill it later. Great. All right, let's throw these back down. All right, and now the AF is sorted out there. Now we can work out the AM. All right, and Okay. And then we are going to I think peel back the AF here as well. Expand the AM in there. There we go. That is looking pretty good. Just gotta make sure I get everything in there. That's cute. And now we are going to carve away this one. Yeah, maybe for the pre-recorded live, I can go over some of the changes that I'm making to the polity chart. Everybody likes the polity chart. And that's probably the last you'll hear about the polity chart until the whatchamacallit, World Building Festival. I meant to erase, but you know what? I'll just keep it. Oh, oh, I think I used the CFC color instead. Great. Or I picked the color when there was another layer on top of it. Always gotta double check what layer I'm on, just in case. All right, now we're just gonna go through here and then we'll be able to finish off the A climates over here. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Eh. It's serviceable. All right, so now we're going to drop down our AF and our AM. And then on our AM layer, we are going to chart this just along here as we go up, because it's going to get more precipitation up there. And it's going to become thinner as we move further north, and it'll probably just fade out as it gets further away from the 1,000 meter elevation mark. Okay, now let's go to our AF layer and get that in there. At what point is this? I mean, we can... I remembered at what point I was doing it. All right, and now we're going to go back to the AM. Oh, we're going to rid of that AF. Oh, shoot. And throw let's throw that back on. And then we can fill that in. And by fill that in, I mean erase. And we're going to get rid of the extra AF flying around. Okay. Look at that. And I still have a bit of time. So I'm going to try to, at the very least, get some broad shapes out of here. And I want my layer here. And it's tighter here, so it's going to be steeper. So it's going to carve a bit more away. All right, and then we're gonna move to CFB. Grab the right color for that. Yeah, let's take off these A layers here. Okay. That's a little There we go. Okay. That's one. All right, so I'm again with the slope here, I'm going closer on the lee side, where the precipitation is already passed. Meanwhile, on the foreslope, the windward slide, I'm having it come out a bit further. All right, let's see how that looks, see if I need to fill anything in. Yes, I do. Okay, let's fill that in. I do not like how that looks. All right, that little pocket there is on purpose. Okay, and let's go to the CFB quickly so I can get rid of some of that. No, like that one. Okay. How long will the last one take? I think the last one will take about 15 minutes. So let's do that, and then we will be done. We will be done, Zaalea. Well, I mean, there's stuff I can add and clean up and stuff like that, but I think it'll do us just fine for working on the dominant order or group of terrestrial fauna. All right, we're going to turn those off. Pick the right color. Choose the right layer. And then put this on. We'll soon know too much about Zaalea for it to be a land unknown, so I'll have to leave. Yes, that is hopefully. Well, we'll know too much about Zaalea, physical geography and biogeography. Then we'll have to move on to another unknown part. When we're done Zaalea, what will we have to do next? Biblaridian is going to join us after we're done this close climate study, and we are going to develop the terrestrial, the major order of terrestrial fauna. I have ideas. We're not going to come out of it whole cloth. I have some stuff that I've been working on and that, the two of us have been talking about. But I'm very excited about it. And, beside a couple things that I like and some thoughts that I had, there's not much pre-baked. So, there's going to be a decent amount of room for improvising. Because just like Arukia has the monodermatoforms and Zaalea has, I guess the equivalent of placental, and marsupial mammillaformes, we are also going to be looking at what Zaalea has. And the thing is that I guess Protobacera is kind of where its synapsids are. Yeah, there's synapsids and then sorapsids. So the Sauriforme, which, is the Dracoforme belong to, that group was on Protobacera when, the last big extinction kind of was going down. So in Linneo-Takea, the Linneo-Takean realm, we had Dracoforms, some of which fly and spit stuff. And those are the ones that we see in Arukia, and we'll also see in Zaalea. But because Trans-Metrine Zaalea and Linneo-Takea are separate, more or less, they had their own critters come out of the they had their own group of critters that were able to diversify very quickly and come out of the extinction. That's nice. All right, and like before, we are going to be cleaving pretty close. On the lee side, and then on the windward side, we're just gonna carve in here, just because it's going up the slope, so it doesn't have to be too far away. And I guess what I have here. That seems convenient. Oh, come on. Okay. Having everything on separate layers works really well when you're only working with a few layers. Once you start getting up there, though, it's kind of annoying to jump back up and down. But that is the name of the game. Otherwise, I can do it all in the same layer, which I believe I have done that in one of my other projects. It's just like everything was on the same layer. It was certainly a time. Well, I think that's it. That's what we wanted to accomplish today. And it only took a little bit longer than I expected. So let's get rid of all of our notes and admire. Now all of Zaalea is done. Pretty much. I mean, there's a bit over here which we haven't worked on. But let's see what it looked like before. We can compare. So I definitely threw in a lot of AF. So let's look at this. There we go. All right. Yeah, the AF got pushed down, I think. When I was going through the first time, I was getting a lot of precipitation in there. There's precipitation that goes down here. Definitely in there. That was an overestimation of AF on my part, but everything in here is somewhat reasonable from a lower resolution. Because I was not going in and saying, oh, this is how much precipitation the area gets. We got this basin has changed a bit. And I say a bit because it was all AW before. So it was already pretty arid, right? So we just, figured out the aridity. I mean, probably one of the more stark changes is this little guy in here. And then, yeah, we saw that this BSK, BSW, BWK region was expanded, which is fine. It was already arid in there to begin with. This is what happens when you kind of firm up the numbers you're using for your precipitation. You just have to follow the heart of the cards. In the D region, it's more or less the same. I guess we took the, I was following the elevation closer with the changes in temperature. And so, the A climates moved down a bit. Yeah. Oh. What's this? This CFA? Yeah, it's CFA. And CFA is below. What? What's going on here? Interesting. Oh, I guess there's some D under DW or something like that under there. I don't know. Before the relevant video, this will certainly be cleaned up. And I do plan on further cleaning up the... yeah, it used to be DWC or something like that underneath. Probably need to double check what I was thinking there. No, I know what I was thinking. Just need to change how it connects. I mean, it's essentially, if you're using like EPS, for example, the difference between a 21 and a 42 run for resolution is essentially what we're doing. You know, a higher resolution map has more detail. Therefore, it takes more variables into consideration. There we go, because those black spots were kind of annoying me. And what else? What else? Yeah, we had an expansion of the ET, and that was due to how thin those mountains are. And, you know, when you're working at like a global level, it's kind of difficult to include all of that detail. So the ET expanded. But yeah, there we go. So let's pull that out. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today in Lands Unknown. As I mentioned, the next series we're doing is going to be looking at fauna on Zaalea. So different group of terrestrial organisms, and we're going to start with kind of the ancestral form and generate a bunch of different body plans and things. Not really body plans, sorry. A bunch of evolutionary niches that they're gonna fit into. And I have a plan for a couple of those to be quite prolific in the same way that blue dragons and sprites are going to be quite prolific. So that will be a fun time next time. Just a reminder to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next Sunday. So thank you everyone again, and I hope you have a great week.